Ladies and gentlemen, Bulgaria held a national election in April of 2021, and then they held an early snap election in July of 2021, and then in November 2021, another early snap election, and just the other day, October 2nd, 2022, the third early snap election in a row. 4 national elections in less than 2 years. This is completely unprecedented in Bulgarian history. It's kind of shocking, but you gotta admit, also kind of funny. Now, the reason for this early snap election, I also find humorous because it revolves around North Macedonia. Maybe people in Bulgaria don't find this humorous, but as an American, I do. Now, I was gonna go into the whole issue, but it's going to take like 10 minutes. It's going to require a whole nother video. If you want me to make a video about North Macedonia and the controversies, post a comment below, because I actually own some good props for a video about that. But essentially, you may know that Greece has had huge beef against the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, basically saying that they're perpetrating like they are Greek people, but they're not. But then on the flip side, Bulgaria also has beef with them, saying that they're fellow Bulgarians essentially, but are perpetrating like they have nothing to do with Bulgarians. Bulgaria had a standing veto against North Macedonia becoming a member of the European Union. Well, the ruling coalition was 4 parties. One of them was this new big tent populist party called We Are Such a People. And it was along the same lines as Italy's 5-Star movement, to at least some degree. And Bulgaria withdrew their standing veto over North Macedonian membership into the EU. And so We Are Such a People withdrew from the ruling coalition and brought about this snap election number 3. Now, the first thing I want to clarify is Bulgaria is not a leftist country. It's not like Sweden. And so you have the Bulgarian Socialist Party. But there's people in this party who, on social issues like immigration, homosexuality, abortion, they're more right-wing than the people who are called right-wing in countries like Sweden and Germany. And so you've got the Swedish Social Democrats and the German Social Democrats, and they're denouncing people in their own country as being far right for socially conservative views. But then in the European Union, they're allied with people from Bulgaria whose views on social issues are actually much more right-wing. And so keep in mind, you have all these social democrats in Northern Europe that are more interested in radical far-left causes to the point where socialist economics hardly even factors anymore. They're more concerned with gender identity and things like that. Where in Bulgaria, in Slovakia, and a few other countries, they actually advocate socialist economics, but then on social issues, they can very well be extremely conservative. Another thing, Bulgaria has had many hardline national conservative parties. And there was one in particular, Ataka, that became really big, one of the biggest parties many years ago. But then they kept making more parties, and there was all these different nationalist parties that would fight with each other and have coalitions, but there were so many of them, there would still be competing coalitions. And so it kind of dwindled. And in 2021, in the first few elections, you did not have any nationalist parties winning seats. Then in the November election, a new party called Revival got close to 5%. Revival is a hardline national conservative party. In this election, they got closer to 10%. Plus, there's a second party that got 4.5% called Bulgaria Rise. Now, Bulgaria Rise is being described as a hardline national conservative party, but it's actually way more complicated than that, and people are debating over what it even is. And it was created by the former defense minister of Bulgaria, who was sacked for not being anti-Russia enough. And so basically he went off, and Bulgaria is just chock full of people starting teeny tiny parties. Every election, there's brand new teeny tiny parties that don't go anywhere. Well, he gathered up a bunch of teeny tiny parties, and they're actually more considered left-wing parties, even though Bulgaria Rise is being classified as a right-wing party. The largest party that he incorporated actually bills itself as a socialist alternative to Revival. So it's Revival, the National Conservatives, but also with socialism. And so it's a mixed bag, but then Bulgaria Rise itself has no economic positions whatsoever. Basically, the former defense minister created this party, and it's a nationalistic, patriotic party that doesn't want to burn all bridges with Russia. And so essentially, and people are going to ask, which are the pro-Russia parties of Bulgaria? So essentially, Revival, Bulgaria Rise, and to a lesser extent, the Bulgarian Socialist Party are being called the pro-Russia parties. But it's not even about being pro-Russia so much as it is about not burning all the bridges. They just want to remain friends with Russia. None of these people are calling for Bulgaria to deploy forces to Ukraine and enter the war or anything like that. They just say we have hundreds of years of historical and cultural ties with Russia that we don't want to throw away. So here at the top, I've got Revival, which is definitely a hardline national conservative party. They got seats in the November snap election. That was the first time they won seats. And they've got over twice as many seats in the election the other day. And then this is Bulgaria Rise, which is brand new. They got 4.5%. Now, the establishment center-right party is GERB. And they've remained pretty consistent throughout all these four elections, always getting around 22 to 25%. So they went up, they came in first place. The next prime minister is probably going to be from GERB. Now, this is We Are Such a People. And this is the big tent populist party I was talking about. This is the party that pulled out of the former ruling coalition that caused this snap election. Now, in early 2021, they exploded onto the scene as a huge party and then rapidly dwindled out. And so there's a 4% minimum threshold. They did not make the threshold. They will not get any seats. So in that respect, they screwed themselves. They brought about this snap election, and now they've gone from 25 seats to 0. Then you've got We Continue the Change, which is a brand new party that exploded onto the scene in the November election. Essentially, It's a sort of Bulgarian version of an Emmanuel Macron centrist, big tent, pro-business liberal party. Then you've got Democratic Bulgaria, which is another big alliance of a whole bunch of teeny tiny parties. Essentially, it kind of spans a spectrum, but one thing they all have in common is they're all extremely pro-EU. And so some of the parties in Democratic Bulgaria call themselves center-right. Of course, being pro-EU, you can never trust them because they want to ingratiate themselves into the establishment. They want to get invited to all the right parties, all the best secret meetings and secret clubs and whatnot. So things like these two, Democratic Bulgaria and We Continue the Change, essentially they always seem to portray themselves as more centrist or even center-right than they really are. Then you've got the Bulgarian Socialist Party, which I talked about a minute ago. They've been kind of steadily declining with all these snap elections. Then you've got DPS, which is the Turk Minority Interest Party. It also gets the largest percentage of the gypsy vote. Now, they've been increasing their percentage slightly during each of the four elections. Now, voter turnout has been dwindling during each of the four elections. And I learned today that Bulgaria has a huge number of foreign polling stations. They have foreign polling stations as far away as Australia and New Zealand. And they've got hundreds of them in Turkey. And Erdogan personally tries to influence this party to make it a Turkish fifth column. He banned the leader of the party at one time from entering Turkey because he defied him. But there's all kinds of reports of shenanigans at the foreign polling stations in Turkey in this election, October 2nd, 2020. Essentially, what's being claimed is that all kinds of polling stations only had ballots in Turkish, and for the people who spoke Bulgarian but not Turkish, they had to have a poll worker fill it out for them. And so there was no secrecy, and they had no idea if the poll worker was really putting whatever party they wanted. The idea that you have hundreds of polling places in a foreign country, I mean, that seems odd to me. If you live in Bulgaria, post a comment below and tell me what the scoop is about that. But that whole situation just seems really odd to me. So the previous ruling coalition was the Bulgarian Socialist Party, Democratic Bulgaria, We Continue the Change, and We Are Such a People. Well, We Are Such a People is gone, and these three parties don't have nearly enough people to have a majority. Now, if GERB, the center-right party, was to go with the nationalists, they would still only have 45%. The obvious turnout is going to be GERB with Democratic Bulgaria and We Continue the Change. And so it'll be the establishment center-right party with these, centrist alliances. So in some way, the new ruling coalition could change economic policy. It probably won't change a lot of other policies. It probably, honestly, won't be a huge change altogether. And honestly, the potential for another snap election is probably high. People are already posting jokes on social media about the fifth election within a 2-year period. All right, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it made sense. Click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about all this. And please support my backup channels on Odyssey and BitChute, because there's no telling when YouTube might delete this channel for no reason. And to the people who have become supporters on Subscribestar and Patreon, thank you very much. And click the subscribe button. New video every few days.